evening, everyone. It is Sunday night. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the Weather Impact team, where we are talking about a weather impact for a big part of southeast Georgia, as we are tracking Tropical Storm Debby that most likely is going to be upgraded to a hurricane, possibly by 11 o'clock tonight. We're expecting landfall at some point tomorrow in the Florida Big Bend area, and then the system moves up into southeast Georgia. It will lose its hurricane strength if it most likely is upgraded to a hurricane, which we think it will, but then a tropical storm as it moves across southeast Georgia, and it is going to really slow down, and that's going to bring some really heavy rain, flooding rain, a lot of rain into parts of southeast Georgia. So join me just for the next few minutes here. We're going to be talking about what we can expect here in Georgia, what we can expect in the metro area, if we'll even have any impacts here. For those of you at 11alive.com, 11 Alive Plus, our app on YouTube, all of our streaming apps, I'll be looking at you on this camera, but every once in a while I'm going to look over here to this camera where folks are watching on Facebook. I'll also check here on Facebook for some other questions as well. So we have all of you kind of watching on all of the different platforms that we have right now. So here is a look at the storm as we see it right now. You can see, again, it is a tropical storm down in the Gulf of Mexico. It will be moving inland during the day tomorrow. Before we get to that, I want to show you here in our area right now, we're not really seeing much going on here at all. We had a couple of showers that fired up in parts of DeKalb County just a little bit earlier, and you'll notice that those showers are moving from the east over to the west, and that's all kind of part of that overarching flow, an easterly flow coming on the upside of that big tropical system that's down into the Gulf of Mexico. So let me take you down there. Let me show you what's going on now. You'll notice here in South Georgia, we do have a good coverage there of rain that is moving into South Georgia, and that is just the beginning of some of those bands that are going to be pushing through there with that heavy rain that's just starting. Here is a look at the center of the storm right now. So let me show you what we're watching. This is the center of the circulation. You'll notice here on the right-hand side of the track, all right, so it's moving up this way. On the right-hand side, pretty much a big part of the peninsula of Florida is in a tornado watch right now. A lot of times on that right-hand side, that's where we see the heaviest of the rain moving in and that severe weather threat. And that tornado watch does extend into parts of South Georgia. In fact, I'll move this up just a little bit so you can see where it does include really that first row of counties there in South Georgia. Pretty much you can see that right here. So here's the center of the circulation right here. You can see the center right there on the right-hand side. That's where we're seeing some of these bands, tropical rain bands moving into Florida. Very heavy rain coming in through Tampa. Also really pretty much up the entire western part of the peninsula of Florida, where we see that heavier rain that is continuing to move on through. This is going to keep moving up toward the north and east, most likely making a landfall here in the Big Bend region, we think, at some point tomorrow, and then it pushes up into southeast Georgia. But you can see with the flow around that system, all of the rain in association with it as it continues moving up toward the north and also to the east. Here's a closer look here at that center of the circulation. I keep wanting to see which side is best to go on. I'm sorry for you guys on Facebook if I'm blocking your view just a little bit. Hang with me. And for those of you on Facebook right now, if you really want a better experience, go to our website, 11alive.com, or download the 11 Alive app, and you can see what people here are seeing. We're also doing this on YouTube as well, but I'm just including you guys on Facebook here just so you can kind of see on that platform as well. But I'm really going to be doing most of my attention over here for the folks on our streaming app. So there's the center of that circulation as it moves up toward the north, and you can see here, let me show you the latest that we have right now. This is based on the 8 p.m. advisory. I did not put my contacts in today, so y'all are going to have to forgive me here for putting off and on my glasses. This is about 100 miles to the west, actually west of Tampa, Florida, and Cedar Key. Max winds are at 70 miles an hour. And so if it gets up to above 74, that's when it would be classified as a hurricane. And that's why we think between now and 11 o'clock, the next advisory is scheduled to come in at 11 o'clock tonight. But if hurricane hunters find that it has winds of 75 miles an hour or greater and it is a hurricane, they would do another special advisory even before 11 o'clock tonight to let us know if it has been upgraded. So let me check one more thing here for you. Forecast advisory, public advisory here. I just want to again see, yeah, that location. 70-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, and moving to the north at about 12 miles an hour. So that's the latest that we have on the system right now. Here's a look at what we're watching with the threats that are going to be down in parts of southeast Georgia. We have a heavy rain threat. We're going to be dealing with wind, and also in southeast Georgia, it looks like we're going to be dealing with a severe weather threat there too. But again, that's well to the south and east of us. Here in Atlanta, our threats are minimal. We're really not expecting much of threats here. We will have some impacts. There's a low risk for some showers, mainly over to the east of us. We will see some breezes coming in tomorrow as well as on Tuesday. So rather breezy conditions, but not like we're on tropical storm force winds or anything like that. So let's first talk about the flood watch that is in effect for those areas to the south and east of us. And really this does not include any part of the Atlanta viewing area. But what you will notice here is that it does include these areas just to the east of Eatonton and also just to the east of Lake Oconee. So it does not include Putnam County. It does not include areas of Jasper County. It does not include Butts County, but it does include those areas just to the east here, as you see over in Milledgeville, and then over in parts of Tolliver County, over in Warrenton, over near Thompson, Georgia, down into McIntyre, and then just to the east of the Macon area too. Those are the spots that are in a flood watch, and those are the areas that have to watch for that potential for some flooding rain moving in. Here's a look at those tropical alerts. Now, let me take this back out. I didn't want that to go that fast there. Hold on just a second. I want you to see this here. Let me go back out wide, and you can see what I'm talking about here with that, all the tropical alerts. So you do notice the red colors that you see here. If you look at the top of the legend here, that's where there's a hurricane warning. Offshore as well as inland here and along the coast is pretty much in the Big Bend region. It curves around over toward Apalachicola, including Mexico Beach. Those are the areas that are in a hurricane warning. Surrounding that, the dark blue color is where we have a tropical storm warning that's in effect, and then the yellow color is a tropical storm watch. So you see that more intense coverage of that more down to the south. But let me go back to this map here because I want to show you, as we zoom in a little bit tighter, those areas in Georgia that are included in a tropical storm watch, and that comes as far north as Eastman. Here's Vidalia right here. It includes Claxton, all right? Pretty much Vidalia, Eastman to the south, in Claxton. It does include Savannah in a tropical storm warning. And then just north of that, the yellow color is a tropical storm watch. It includes these counties over from Albany up toward Dublin there, that's Lawrence County, over toward Swainsboro, you're in a tropical storm watch. Statesboro, Georgia Southern is located there, you're in a tropical storm watch, and that extends over to the north of the Savannah area as well for those spots here in Georgia that are under a tropical storm watch. So let me show you the track. This is the 8 o'clock advisory. Now the 8 o'clock advisory is an intermediate advisory, so the track really hasn't changed that much from the 5 o'clock track that we had here. Let me put this pause right there. And so you can see here that we do expect by tonight, this is most likely going to be upgraded to a hurricane, and that's at 2 o'clock in the morning, we may be seeing winds there at 85 miles an hour still offshore. Then for the morning hours, so this next plot right here that you see, still a category 1 there with 85 mile an hour winds, that's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, even after it's inland. So we're thinking maybe around lunchtime or a little bit before lunchtime tomorrow, that's when we most likely will have a landfall of the center of the circulation there in that Big Bend region. Then all of our focus then is going to go from North Florida into parts of southeast Georgia and into the Carolina coastline. And this is where it gets really interesting. The models have been pretty consistent with this track of a landfall. But what is a little more tricky here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter because I want you to see this part here. Once it moves inland, it starts moving very slowly. There's not a lot of steering with this to give it a lot of push or anything. It's just going to start moving very slowly. So as it does move really slowly through parts of southeast Georgia and then back out over water here near Savannah and then maybe up toward Charleston and then becoming a depression here off the South Carolina coastline, it's going to be moving so slow, it's just going to be dumping heavy rain over the same areas for a long period of time. And that's why we are concerned about a flood risk for many of those spots here throughout the next couple of days down in parts of southeast Georgia. I will tell you, this is the official track from the Hurricane Center. The models have been all over the place. I've had a few people contact me and saying, Chris, why are the models having such a hard time? You'll maybe see a model that shows it going out to sea, and then the next run it shows it doing a loop out in the Atlantic and maybe coming inland. Well, it's just because there aren't a lot of currents here driving it, and so the models are really having a hard time determining where it's going to go, if it is going to stall out or if it is going to continue that motion here. So you'll see here that this cone of uncertainty gets really wide at the very end. Now, this is another thing I want to point out to you. The cone of uncertainty does not show everybody that's going to have impacts. It shows you how uncertain we are of where the actual center of circulation could go. It's kind of like a margin of error here, that the center of circulation could end up over here, or the center of circulation could end up over there. Again, it doesn't show all of the areas are going to have the impacts. It's the cone of uncertainty of where we think the center of that circulation is going to go. So it's really wide there at the end because, again, there's a lot of different scenarios of which way it could go. As you are looking at this, though, I want you to understand here, as long as we can stay on the west side of the track, things will be better for us here in the Atlanta area. All right, so if this track happened to come up this way, we would have a lot more impacts, and we would be on the east side or the right-hand side of it, and then our impacts would be a lot worse. We would have more rain, we would have a severe weather threat, but we are not seeing, it looks like we're going to stay on the good side, the cleaner side of the system, so we do think that our impacts would be a little more minimal. Here is a look at the moisture map. Let me check on you guys over on Facebook, make sure you're doing okay. I'm going to come over to you guys in a second and answer a few of your questions here in just a second. Let me get that going right here as well, so I can go and look at that. So you guys on Facebook, I'm not ignoring you, but my main focus is for folks on our streaming apps right now. So if you want a better experience, please go there to see here what we are talking about to get a better experience here as I'm looking more into this camera. And I know you're probably not hearing my audio as great over here on Facebook either because I keep stepping away. But again, the better experience is on our streaming apps. So here's the moisture map. The orange color you see here is indicating the very moist air. When you get up to the north, the drier air. So watch what happens as I put this into motion. During the day tomorrow, you see all of that tropical rich moisture coming into areas of North Florida and southeast Georgia. All right. All of that moisture pretty much stays over. Let me get my clicker and I'll point it out this way. All of this real tropical rich moisture is just really going to be slowly moving there over southeast Georgia during the day Monday as well as on Tuesday, and then sending all of this moisture up. Potential for coastal flooding on the Georgia coast, South Carolina coast, maybe even the North Carolina coast with some a lot of water coming up over the coastline. And then by Wednesday, it still moves away. So look at us here. Well, this may even enhance our drier air on the back side of the system it may enhance us having nicer weather or drier weather here for the middle of the week and also the end of the week. For right now, we are holding on to just a 20% chance for a shower for the middle and end of the week, just in case we see that track change. If that track comes just a little bit more to the west, then we would have to increase our winds, as well as increasing our rain chance and increasing the chance that we'll see some heavier rain coming in. But based on everything we're seeing right now, we think all of that moisture is going to stay mainly over to the east, again enhancing our drier weather that we're going to see here. We're thinking for the end of the week and also into the weekend. Here's what else I want to show you here. This is our forecast track. You can see the timeline there at the top, just right over my head. Tonight, really no concerns about any additional showers, but watch the flow, okay? See these arrows here coming in from the east? Again, it's wrapping all the way around that big area of low pressure that is still down to well to the south, all right? So we've got this big counterclockwise flow here. So tomorrow, we may have just a few scattered showers, nothing, not a lot of rain, but you see just a few of those spotty showers coming in well to the north of this system. The main rain shield stays down to the south. Here's Eatonton right there. There's Thomaston. I really even think that main rain shield is going to be to the east of them. Earlier, I was thinking Eatonton could get maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain. Now I think that might even be a little bit lower. Again, if this track stays the same. Here we go during the day on Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Still, we've got that flow coming into the north and east. Again, mainly drier air coming in here on the back side of this system. There's that really heavy rain over to the east of us. Augusta, you're going to have a lot more rain than we are here. You're going to have more wind in Augusta than we are too. So really, if you'll see this, we are just on the fringes of that heavy rain band and also some of those stronger winds that'll be moving our way. So that just kind of goes to show you how close that is to us. And if that track comes to the west just a little bit, just by 25, 50 miles or so, that moves this whole rain shield over closer to us. But again, based on what we're seeing, we don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. Then as we go into the rest of the week, there's Wednesday morning, again mainly dry behind this system, and then all that moisture pretty much moves away as the system still is slowly moving up toward the north as well as up to the east there. So now let's look at the winds, all right, because I do think this is going to be one of the impacts that we will experience here, that we will have some wind. And I'm not talking tropical storm force wind or anything like that. I'm talking mainly about just breezy conditions, all right? And these are not the sustained winds. These are the wind gusts. You see that? Wind gusts that we're having here through the day tomorrow. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe 20 mile an hour wind gust in Thomaston, 14 mile an hour wind gust here in Atlanta. Notice during the day, all right, and I'll move my head out of the way so you can see the time frame here. This is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. During the day here on Monday, we'll start seeing those breezes kicking up just a little bit more. Maybe 23 mile an hour wind gust here, 24 mile an hour wind gust in Eatonton, 27 mile an hour wind gust over in the Thomaston area. Wind gust a little lower up in parts of North Georgia. And then through the day on Monday, or Monday night actually, this is 11 o'clock, maybe 12 mile an hour wind gust here, but near 20 mile an hour wind gusts in Thomaston and Eatonton, higher gusts. You see this over in Augusta? Those are going to be much higher wind gusts there over in the Augusta area on Tuesday. Then we on Tuesday, still, here's the center of the circulation there. We still are on the back side of this right here. We're seeing 22 mile an hour wind gust in Atlanta, 27 mile an hour wind gust in Athens. So Athens on Tuesday is going to be a little windier there. Eatonton maybe up to 30 mile an hour wind gusts. So again, the closer you go to the south and east and the closer to that center of circulation, which is coming in there right along or moving right along the Georgia coastline, that's where it's going to be windier. Tuesday at lunchtime, 17 mile an hour wind gusts here. Then getting into the afternoon, 15 mile an hour wind gusts. But look at Eatonton and Athens, 27 mile an hour wind gusts. So on Tuesday, that's the day, especially for those of you on the east side, where we're going to have some of those stronger winds that'll be moving on through. Then on Wednesday, it starts letting up a little bit as it tries to pull away. Still breezy at times here during the day on Wednesday. And here's a look at the rainfall. Now, Earlier, the models were showing more rain just to the east, but now they're not showing as much. So again, this could change a little bit based on the track of the system, but we're not going to see much out of it at all. During the day on Tuesday, maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain here in areas to the south and also to the east of us, maybe 1/4 of an inch up in Athens, maybe 1/10 of an inch in Eatonton, even not much rain in Eatonton. But what's interesting here is the gradient of the people who see no rain and the people who see a lot of rain is very small. Let me point that out to you, all right? So Eatonton, maybe only 1/10 of an inch of rain. The blue color you see here is where we start seeing 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain. The purple color is when we start getting into the rainfall of over an inch. The reds and oranges and yellows, see how that gradient just really starts stacking up here? So Eatonton may not see much rain at all, but just miles down the road, a few counties over, they can see 4 to 5 inches of rain. And we're talking parts of southeast Georgia could see more than 10 inches of rain, and there's even some estimates saying between 10 and 20 inches of rain along the South Carolina coast and the Georgia coast as this system continues moving up to the north. But where we are, again, the quieter side of the storm, we're not going to see as much rain here, if really anything at all in our area. Here's the track, all right? Let me walk you through the track here. I was going to do this for 15 minutes, and I just looked up and saw that I've done it for 20 minutes so far. So thank you guys for hanging with me. And for those of you again on Facebook, I'm sorry if you're not hearing my audio as well when I step back, but again, the main experience we're having here is for our folks on our streaming apps, and I just have you going on Facebook just to kind of keep an eye on us as well. So here's a look at that track that we have. This is the European model showing the center of circulation again tonight, and then early tomorrow moving inland, and you can see here, again, there's the center, right-hand side is seeing a lot more of the impacts. Left-hand side, not seeing as much. East side more, west side not as much. So this keeps moving up this way with those bands of rain, really heavy rain. By Tuesday in the afternoon, still is taking it, you know, a day or more to go from here to up here. And then it's still going slow out into the Atlantic a little bit, still spreading some rain in along the coastal regions with that wind too. And then it kind of moves up toward the north, all right? This is by Thursday. Still a lot of rain there on the South Carolina coastline. Things should be getting better by late Wednesday into Thursday there on the Georgia coast. But again, here we are, not getting much at all, just on the back side of it, continuing to push up toward the north here as we get into those areas of, and to the end of the week, Thursday, and also into Friday. So to sum everything up right here, this is a look at some of the impacts that we're talking about here for Georgia and for the metro Atlanta area. So we're watching that storm track moving through southeast Georgia, but of course that path could change. And we think the greatest impacts will be in southeast Georgia and coastal Georgia, where we're going to see the very heavy rain. They're going to have a lot of wind there. They're most likely going to have some flooding issues in southeast Georgia too. But for the metro area, based on this track, we will remain on the west side of the track. Our rain chance is very low. And we're mainly just going to see breezy conditions here on Monday and on Tuesday. Again, this isn't sustained winds that are going to be really strong during the day here on your Monday and Tuesday, but it's just the wind gusts that could be between 15, 25 miles an hour over to the east of us, over toward Athens, maybe 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts there, all right? So these are the main impacts that we are going to be watching here, all right? I'm going to step over here. I want to answer any questions. Let me put my glasses on. For those of you, again, on our streaming apps, you're my main focus right here. I do have the folks on Facebook over on the side, so I want to just go over here and answer any of the questions that people may have. Cynthia says, I hope nothing here in Henry County. Again, Henry County won't have a lot. And while I'm talking and answering these questions here, I'm going to put it on the radar so you guys can see here what we're watching as that center of circulation is there trying to get closer there to a landfall. We think that'll happen tomorrow morning. Again, for those of you on Facebook, I'm sorry I've stepped over here, but I'm trying to read these questions for you. Cynthia says, we hear you fine. Roger says, watching from Lexington. Deborah says, thank you. Let me try to update these as quickly as I can. Hello, Chris, visiting in Georgia. Oh, Linda Locke. Thank you, Linda. Hope so I can see you taking care of everyone with your weather experience and knowledge. Thank you. Heath says, I've read that Debbie can produce rainfall totals similar to Alberto or Harvey. So if you guys remember Alberto, that was a storm in the early 90s, just after the 4th of July that came in. It was also a very slow mover, and it caused a lot of flooding down into South Georgia. Alberto did make it to us, though, and caused a lot of rain here. This was going to be a little bit different than that because it is going to be really pretty much more of a Southeast Georgia thing, but it is going to be another memorable rainfall and memorable potential flooding event for those folks in parts of Southeast Georgia. Alan White's asking about Dahlonega. We don't see a lot of impacts in Dahlonega. It's maybe breezy. Rain chances are going to be on the low end for you. Deborah says hello. Kelly says watching from Johns Island, South Carolina. It's a barrier island for Charleston. Lived in Atlanta for years. Chris is the best. You're too kind. Thank you. It's the calm before the storm there on the island tonight. Peggy says she's watching from Canton, Georgia. Thank you for watching there. Trying to see if there are any other questions. Somebody's saying turn the headlights on when you're driving if it's raining. It's the law. That's from Justin. Lisa's saying Savannah Thursday through Monday. So things are going to be most active in Savannah on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then it's going to move out. So I haven't even looked at the general forecast for Savannah for Thursday through Monday. I think that's what you're asking about. But it's going to be more active there through Wednesday and then getting better for Thursday and Friday as far as the tropical system is concerned. But there could be additional rain that comes in based on other features there. But I'm talking more about just the tropical impacts there too. All right, let me see if anybody else has any. Rain in Madison from Brenda, Madison, Georgia. So Madison is right on the fringes as well. I really think based on this track, if the track changes any, I do think that Madison could have maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe a half inch of rain over in Madison based on this track, but you're right on the fringe of who gets rain and who doesn't get rain. So if this track changes any bit, it could spread a lot more into your direction. So the main thing I want to stress with you guys is you're hearing everything that I'm saying right now based on the current track, all right? And the models have been pretty consistent with that landfall being there in the Big Bend region. We're thinking on during the day tomorrow, making that landfall. That's been pretty consistent. Where it gets tricky though is after it moves inland, it's going to be moving so slowly that it's going to be dumping a lot of rain. And that's where things could change a little bit and shift a little bit. And any shift to the west or to the east drastically changes what type of weather we're going to see here. And for those of you over on the east side, over toward Lake Oconee, also up into the Madison area. Let me get one more question here before I wrap everything up for you. Could Atlanta and Fulton County get any rain? And do you think the track would shift? So I don't think the Atlanta will get much rain at all. We're going to have a couple of spotty showers tomorrow, but as far as going into Tuesday and Wednesday, if this track stays the same, we'll be on the drier side of it, and it may even enhance our dry weather there on the back side of that system with sinking air, and it may enhance our drier air, and the rain chances will be lower. The other question you had was, oh gosh, who asked that question? Jordan, I believe. Do I think the track is going to shift? It is possible, but now that we're getting more data in as it's getting closer, I don't think it'll be as much of a chance of shifting, but that can always happen because we just don't have a lot of steering currents with it. That's why it's going to be moving so slow. All right, one more question here. Blue Ridge, I think you'll have some breezes in Blue Ridge, but nothing too crazy there. And then Lisa says, watching from LJ. Rebecca says, supposed to be on Jekyll Island for a large conference on Tuesday through Friday. Should we still go? So you're talking about this Tuesday? So I think Jekyll on Tuesday, this Tuesday, is going to be experiencing still some wind and rain. That's how slow this system is going to be moving. I do think that by Wednesday, things should start improving. So, I'm not going to tell you. What I always tell people to do is I tell them what I think the weather is going to do. You have to make the decision if you're not going to go or not. Some people still want to go, even if it's going to be raining or even if there's a threat for flooding. I'm just telling you, there's going to be a lot of water there on during the day Monday, actually tonight already, through the day Monday and also into Tuesday, with windy, rainy conditions, the system moving very slowly, the potential for some flooding there. I don't think it'd be a good idea to travel to Jekyll on Tuesday, but wait and see how things are improving during the day here on a Wednesday down there as well. So, all right, it is now 9:29. I'll go ahead and do this until 9:30. We've got another about 40 seconds here. So here again is what we're watching. The center of circulation with Tropical Storm Debby is off the Florida coast right now. It's going to move into the Florida Big Bend area for a landfall at some point late tomorrow morning, around lunchtime possibly. Most likely by 2 in the afternoon, it's already going to be inland. Late morning into around lunchtime is when we think we'll have a landfall. Then it moves very slowly up toward the north into southeast Georgia, and then pushes northeasterly over toward the Savannah area, and then along the South Carolina coast, bringing a lot of rain into southeast and coastal Georgia and into coastal South Carolina, where we could see some considerable flood issues in those areas too. Be sure to watch tonight at 11 on 11 Alive News after the Olympics, and I'll have the latest advisory that's issued at 11 o'clock.